I'll tell you, this is never ending, really. I didn't shoot what I've just done, which is to kind of spot fill and caulk and sand a little and touch up with a little primer. As we can see, we need a little more filling and fairing on the rub rail, the wooden part of the rub rail. I'm seeing more cracking. I guess I got to try to put more flexible material on those parts, but I want to do one more pass. I'm going to sand real quick and do one more pass. The underside of it is going to wait until I'm doing. I've got all my screws in my scarfed frame. I'll tell you, this is never ending, really. I didn't shoot what I've just done, which is to kind of spot fill and caulk and sand a little and touch up with a little primer. One more coat of this $45 a quart primer and call it done before final paint. I don't care what happens to it. I'll throw paint on it, let it crack. Speaking of which, we got a nice new crack there. Lovely. I still got to fill in all this rub rail a little bit just to minimize the water getting trapped under there. We got some bubbling. That's going to be, I haven't looked at that closely yet. Can't wait to see if that's more water getting out from inside the boat somehow. I think that could be fun. Yeah, this all needs to be faired more. Big time. Getting some interesting brown stains near the deck too, which is curious because there's no iron fasteners as far as I know. I don't know what it is, where it's coming from. Maybe I don't know. At least the underside of the rub rail is a little more done on this side, because I was taking the time to move down to a lower level to do that earlier, but I'm not going to do that anymore. The forward part looks pretty good. I don't think I'm going to mess with that today. But yeah, this needs love. I'm not going to shoot the process either. I've been reviewing, looking at my episodes and stuff, and when it's time to edit, 35 short clips of me sanding or whatever, it's not worth it. So I got a couple of sanding belts and cut them open so they're in a strip now, and use that to determine how big my plate needs to be. And the idea is that if I get a handle on either end when I'm sanding, it'll conform somewhat to the shape that I'm sanding. It might be a little too rigid for that, but maybe not. So I've done that, but I just have to make some handles. I'm just going to make them out of some funky scrap. I've decided today, so I don't actually feel the effects of frustration, today is the opposite day. Anything bad that happens is going to be good and desirable. And I found my screw shank. I didn't have to climb back up in the boat. That's one less trip today. How am I going to get my cardio in? Oh well. I said I would minimize the process shots, but I haven't done this yet on the channel, so might be of some interest. It's a quick and dirty project. As usual, I don't have, I have a whole box of screws that are the wrong length. I had to go rummaging for oddball leftover screws that were short enough, which was great. It was a great waste of time. Wonderful. So I think for this, though, unfortunately, I've thought of the right way to do this. I'm going to pilot and countersink this first, and then just drive those in. It might work. I hope not. It's definitely more fun to complain this way. To just be completely insane and over everything. Hope this splits. Oh well, it didn't split. Can't have everything. The next thing. Awesome. What did I pay for this? Too much, I know. $13 maybe? How perfect. The spray cap is gone. It was on here when I bought it. I checked. Awesome. Now I can't finish this today. I don't need this today, but I'm going to have to buy another whole can of this. Or maybe I can take one off another can of something. I wouldn't want to do that. Then I'd be able to get stuff done. Bummer. I found it. There we go. I'm going to glue a strip of this foam, which I happen to conveniently have, on it here. And then I'm going to lightly glue my sandpaper onto this to give it a little more cushioning effect and make it easier to get the sandpaper back off. This shouldn't be a permanent bond, but I'm going to do both sides. We're just going to let that kind of go off. Give that a couple minutes. I'm not going to pull another plank today, but I'm going to get going on these plugs on this next plank. I kind of want to wait till I have the wood in hand, because I don't really want to open the entire area up and leave it open very long. It seems like a bad idea to me in terms of the boat holding her shape. I could be dead wrong about that. Oh, that's the right size. I've tried the screw extraction method for these. It hasn't worked out for me. So I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way with the chisel. I'm pretty sure what we have here on these butt joints are, what do they call them again? Roved nails. Where on the pointy end of the nail, there's a little cone. And that gets held with a special buck, a metal piece with an opening on one end. And then somebody else on the outside pounds on the nail head with a hammer and makes everything flush and tightens that collar onto the inside part. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it that way when I put these back together. I may, in fact, wind up scarfing this. It's a little, looks like tobacco, that plug. That's how rotten that is. No, that's sticking well enough. It really twists very well, which is kind of cool. Yeah, pretty good wiggle board. Nice. I'm not ready to use this yet today because I want that stuff to go off a little more, but I think we have a thing. That one's already gone on its own. Bloop. Boy. Yeah, this board is cracked as well, which isn't necessarily a terrible thing, but Oh, they're slotty. These might all... Oh, I don't think they're original. This is a different kind of butt joint. I think they use screws here. I haven't looked on the inside. I don't know if I can see. Actually, here I think I can see it. I think we're in the engine room here. Yeah, just barely. Thank goodness they didn't put a lot of epoxy right behind the plug so that it got glued to the screw head. That's a nightmare to undo. Almost not worth doing here because I know that corner is going to break off. It just is. Nothing I can do about it. But I'm trying to keep as much of each of these intact as I can, because to some extent they will be patterns for the new pieces. This does not bode well. We've got more almost doubled up ones here. I would prefer that this boat has less holes in it. Slotted, and the one next to it is probably Phillips. Nope, it's slotted. I don't know. Maybe a split, the frame going in. They look to be the same vintage so far. This is so bad, I'm gonna have to take this one out before I even finish clearing that one. I guess it doesn't matter why it happened. It happened, and I gotta deal with it. And that's great. That's such a good thing. Yeah. Let's try it. I hope it doesn't work. Yeah, okay. Of course, you can't see the result, but this is good for the final knockdown and to get the spots that I just filled. So, yeah, I'm a little disappointed. This actually works exactly like I thought it would. Well, something will go wrong today. It's taking a lot off that I don't want to, which is awesome, right? Leg is a little crampy today. Yeah. So this is looking somewhat better. It always looks better every time I do it. This business with the rub rail, I'm over it. I got to just get final paint on here. There's something soft on there. I got to scrape that off. I got to get the underside of this done real soon and get final paint on here, because I think the sun is killing the primer. And the expansion and contraction is cracking off primer. It's cracking off epoxy. It's not good. I'm probably going to bed the metal trim for the rub rail in butyl tape or something, which will compensate for some of these voids. There's no point in making this fair. It's almost impossible. It needed to be replaced, really, ideally. But I ain't going there, not this time around. I'll let the next owner do that. I've got a little more of this foolishness that I have to do on the top sides, the on-deck stuff, the bulkhead and the cockpit, and the foredeck, the inside of the bulwarks up there. This side looks great, except for that crack, but it's a wooden boat. That's going to happen. That's just going to happen. Let's take a moment to appreciate the current state of the hatch. It's only been installed for a couple weeks, and it's pretty much completely disintegrated. There are cracks upon cracks. It's shattered, which is awesome. That's great. It's already much worse than it was when I bought the boat. So I'm looking forward to throwing more money at this and hard work. This bulkhead is going to need another skim coat. Yeah, you can see This is like, I don't know, old school marine fur ply. I don't know why it's doing this. I need a new mini tripod, so I got the camera sitting on the deck. It's kind of stupid. No, actually, that's great. Right. It's opposite day. It's wonderful. It's already too late in the day to put any primer on here because the temperature drop and the dew will ruin it overnight. It might actually start raining very late tonight. I want to try to make this bulkhead pretty fair because when you're sitting in the cockpit, when you're sailing, I'll be looking at this more than a lot of other things. That's not really in keeping with today's sarcastic theme of opposite reactions, but related, and that is the negative comments, the naysayers, the nattering nabobs of negativity. Who coined that phrase? Some American politician. Yeah, I realize the words of discouragement are very helpful because, well, it might be a straight up reality check. You might realize, you know what, they're right. It's just, I don't know. It's another challenge in addition to what it is you're trying to achieve. To be ready to be unable to satisfy some people. It's part of the game. Some people are never going to be happy. Some people are going to be, it kind of balances out the effect of people who, in their naivete or just their desire to connect with somebody doing something ridiculous and to encourage them, are just like loving everything you do and think it's awesome. It's good to have some balance, I guess. I was going to mention it when I can get him on camera, and I'm pretty sure he will be on camera, but I actually had my first face-to-face with somebody, with a viewer. I'm not sure if he's a subscriber. I got to ask him. If you're not, you can't be my friend. His name is Hank, and he knows Dayton and Bill here. He's a longtime sailor, cruising sailor. He's owned a number of boats. I'm hoping to get him on camera so he can tell you all about it. I was working on the boat the other day, and he happened to be here. And on his way out, he stopped by and he approached me and said, "I've seen your vlog." And I was like, okay. It's the first time that's ever happened, so I was a little taken aback. And he introduced himself, et cetera, and we had a conversation. And he offered to help in person. I've had a lot of people in the comments say, "Yeah, I live nearby. I've been sailing for years. If you need," most people offer to go sailing with me. Well, that's awfully nice of you. But I could use help when I have to go up and down the freaking ladder 12 times to tighten the fasteners on one pad. I need help for stuff like that. I said, I'm going to need another pair of hands, somebody on deck soon when I go up the mast. And he said, "Do you have a bosun's chair and all that?" And I was like, "Not yet. I was thinking of just pulling a caving ladder, an access ladder up there. And I have a harness, so I would have fall arrest for myself." He said, "I've got a mast climber rig and a bosun's chair if you want. I could bring it down." I was like, "Dude, I've been curious about the mast climber. But they're bloody expensive. Well, on my budget, they are. And this would be a good opportunity to, one, get to use one for nothing without having to buy it, and two, to try it out, see if I like it." So at some point, oh, good, we're out of epoxy. That's awesome. That's so good. I guess we're done with that for today. Yeah, anyway, real soon, maybe if it ever stops raining this month, he's going to come down here with his rig and belay me while I go up the mast to lower the running top mast and look at stuff. I have confidence that he will be a good helper. He's a little older than me, but he's in decent shape, He's a retired iron worker, which is cool. We had a nice conversation about that, about falling and stuff like that. But yeah, he's a really nice fellow. I'm looking forward to spending more time with him, and I'm looking forward to bringing him into the fold. And it was just fantastic to connect in the real world with someone who's a viewer of the channel. That's half the reason I started the channel, was to get people into Nina's orbit, as it were, and not just help me with her, but to enjoy her with me. He is definitely, even if it doesn't happen, just the fact that he came up and said hi and offered to help, that puts him on the A list for crew and guests, definitely. He's also a very experienced sailor, so that also puts him up there. Yeah. So that was kind of fun. I've also met the owner of the fabulous sailboat behind me, Kevin. He comes down here. He's busier than a one-armed paper hanger with fleas. So I don't think I'll have time to pin him down and get him to talk on camera. But maybe. He's turned out to be a very congenial guy. We've talked about stuff. I can't remember. The boat's a one-off. It was built in 1950. He got it probably really cheap because she was a refugee from Superstorm Sandy that went adrift and went aground and was apparently dropped at least once when they tried to get her out of wherever she was. I don't remember the whole story. But interesting story, interesting guy, interesting boat. I'd love to do a crawl through of that boat. But it's good to talk to someone who's got a similar project on their hands. And he's inspired me to just get her in the water and go sailing, and not worry about the phase 2 stuff, not worry about AIS and all that stuff. Just to get some damn paint on her and get her back in the water. That's all I can do with that today. Frankly, I'm kind of done working for today. I got to get some stuff done. I got to get food. Again, I still don't have even the most primitive galley setup. I really had to do that because, yeah, money and time. It's a drag to have to go out to the shops to get takeout or whatever. I got to eat and get a good night's sleep because I got to get up at 5 a.m. to go to work. At least I'm going from here and not from home. It's only an hour and a half from here. It's another hour from home. And I got to make sure that I've at least got this, before I leave, that this boat is dogged down tight because it is going to rain for like the next week. I don't know if I'm going to come down during the deluge to check on her. Probably. I got to give her a saltwater bath tonight too. That's right. So I got to tidy all this stuff up, gather up all my tools, all my trash, put them in the boat, just like I do every day. Okay. I'm going to take a nap. No, I'm not sleepy. I'm just done. Yeah, I got to put everything in the boat and then have something to eat, try to fall asleep, and clean up the deck, give her a good wash, give the hull a good wash. And then before I leave, I'm going to spend like half an hour buttoning this boat up, like tight, drum tight, because it's going to rain. But I already mentioned that.